In today's episode, we chop it up with Broderick Jackson, aka Hollywood, who is an entrepreneur phenom out of Atlanta, Georgia. As a 16-year-old kid in jail and without a plan, he was released only to return to the system. Hollywood then decided to take his trap house mentality and apply it to legit businesses, in which he was able to successfully garner more than one endeavor. From a young ex-con.
Everybody's asking, like, how you gonna make it work? You know, people ain't gonna be, listen, man.
To a thriving business owner and a drag racer, Hollywood's name rings out in the world of drag racing and production. Sit back and strap in as we get to know Hollywood. Let's get it. Welcome to another episode of Pen to Pen Podcast. Y'all see it. Y'all see it's a different view. I'm giving y'all a different angle, different view. I know y'all used to the Pen to Pen Podcast logo in the back, but we switching it up today, baby. I got a guest with me, man. Broderick Jackson, aka Hollywood.
That's right. So just right, like my mama would say, it's Broderick Jackson. Everybody in Atlanta, everybody call me Hollywood. I'm a pro racer from Atlanta, Georgia, a class sponsor of a professional drag racing class, Pro Ultra 460 in the Manufacturers Cup, and do a lot of sponsoring throughout the motorcycle industry as well, in different classes, different associations. But now I'm PPP. They call me Prison, Plumbing, and Production. So we out here with Q now, man. We're going to chop it up because we on Pen to Pen now. So, you know, we ain't going to get too far. We're going to get back to Q, let him handle this thing.
We coming back to it.
Yeah.
Talk to me. Tell the people about you. Tell them about your incarceration. Not necessarily your sentence or whatever, but the amount of time that you did and what was going on you prior to incarceration and up to that point.
Well, you know, for me, prior to incarceration, you know, I had been afforded pretty much a good life, you know, for the most of my childhood up to, you know, we were poor, but hell, I didn't know we were poor. You know,
right.
You know, when you 0 to 8 years old, you don't really know the difference. But I do remember moving to, you know, a more affluent area in the suburbs when we was about like third grade up to about 15. But, you know, hell, like Dave Chappelle say, sometimes you just the poorest person in the middle class neighborhood.
Right,
you know what I mean? But it is what it is, and, you know, and my dad, you know, he did what he could do. He was only 17 years older than me, which, you know, when you look in hindsight, you know, you kind of can give the past, understanding that was another young man, trying to figure it out too, you know what I mean? So, but in the grand scheme of things, you know, I had to figure it out from 15 years old up until now, pretty much. You know, I had a kid when I was 16 years old, prison when I was 16, 17. State prison, came back, didn't have a plan. So basically, you know, it's a creature of habit. You know, you resort back to what was easy and pretty much put the finances on the table, the bread on the table. And just like the unique part about it though is that even with doing the things that we were doing illegally, you know, I still operate with a very high standard and principle about business. You know, to me, it wasn't something I chose to do. Like, I just wanted to go out and be this person. You know, ultimately I was an officer candidate student in the JROTC, which I already was pre-enlisted to the military before I even got into trouble. So that was really my chosen career path. However, you know, with circumstances as they may be, you know, those get changed with, you know, it could be one random let's go ride together situation to change everything. Thanks. You know what I mean? So in my situation, that was that situation. And but in the end of the day, you know, I really, you know, I had passion. Like anybody know me know I always had passion for racing. You know, so I'm living passion for racing, but at the same time, I love it, but I can't afford it. So I'm trying to do what I got to do to eat, survive, and now I'm in the streets. But, you know, I was always told that when you you can find out who you have when you give somebody some money. So I guess with me, it was racing. You gave me some money, they gave me some more racing. You know what I mean? That was just that was my fuel, man. You know, because it's like, you know, for people who don't really, you know, a lot of people, there's not many people in the world that has actually done what I do here on the motorcycles. There's only a few select group of people of us in the grand scheme of the world. We probably just a blip, not even a blip on the radar. It's a different type of personality that it takes to strap yourself into this. But, you know, and the reason why I bring the racing in, like when you ask for the pre, because ultimately, you know, racing is a very goal-oriented situation, a very goal-oriented sport. It's very, you know, adrenaline-driven, but there's a lot of family built into it as well, you know. And if you're a person who always wants to be better and you don't have a skill or you don't have, you know, a career or whatever, and you are in the street, so at some point you've already taken care of yourself. Now you just going to do who you want to be.
Right.
So now you elevate not only your racing career, but you elevate your hustling career, because you got to elevate your hustling career to elevate your racing career, because this costs a lot of money.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, the stake, I mean, so there's always have been the carrot, because you have the professional teams, which I end up becoming a professional motorcycle racer for a corporation just before I was arrested. You know, I was a corporate racer for Bell Additives, Lartigue racing out of Houston, Texas. And, you know, that was like one of the most difficult phone calls that I can ever, you know, imagine making, to call someone I looked up so highly to, and to be me, an NHRA Pro Stock racer, you know, nationally recognized, and a team of his caliber, to put that embarrassment on his team it was tough. And I had to live with that, you know, like, because my call to him happened from the county jail, because now he has to find a rider. I mean, his rider just left Houston, Texas, making one of the, Baytown, Texas, making one of the quickest pro stop bike passes ever. Until a couple days later, I'm sitting in the back of the patrol car in Hamilton County listening to country music, running about 80 to the county jail. But that's just how life happens, man, you know. And so for me, prior to that, you know, I was able to elevate from a kid, you know, from a person that I have, you know, I guess what you would say a balanced situation. I was pretty much always raised with my dad, then my stepmother, you know, never really lived with my mother or whatever. But from a person who really just grinded it all the way up to where I took it to the top. But the, you know, unfortunate part about, you know, taking it to the top on the other side, meaning, you know, hustling or whatever, is just the foundation just ain't cemented. The compaction ain't right.
Right.
The structure ain't built properly. It's like anything else that you rush to do, there's gonna be mistakes. You know, there's gonna be some things that overlooked and passed code, you know what I'm saying, that you're gonna have to pay the price for, right? So, you know, but the fortunate thing, you know, for me, is that I was able to experience all that.
Well, how much time did you end up doing?
I ended up doing 8.5 years. So I had, so you know, I had an opportunity to experience what it felt like to be at the top of what I was really after.
Right.
I got it. So, you know, I got it, but being that it was built, you know, on the foundation that wasn't really that strong, the first high tide came in, it was gone, like instantly, you know what I'm saying, out to sea type situation, you know what I mean, like legit. Right. Never got a bond from day one. Like, I mean, I got popped in Cincinnati, Ohio, so I'm out of town from day one.
Right.
And so, you know, they ain't like if you got knocked in your own city, you get a visit dang there every weekend like that. For me to get a visit, it was, you know, it's far and few between. But, you know, the reality of it is that, you know, and it might sound backwards, but I would not trade the experience for anything at this point. Because without that experience, and without those lessons, you know I wouldn't have become the person I've become now, and be able to offer something back to a person that went through or have gone through the situation. Now, right. Like me, I'm guilty. I'm not the one said that. I ain't, you know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody told on me or nothing. Listen, I committed to doing wrong.
Right.
I knew I had a fuel that I had a fire that I needed to fuel, And the means to get into the field was through selling drugs, point blank, period. And the more I sold, the more of the fuel I'm gonna burn,
Right.
period. So but the bad part about it is that I'm a businessman. So the thing about me is just another commodity. So I can take the human element out of the whole process, and then it was just business, and that's where I was going wrong at, because the impact that it really did have on the community.
Facts.
You got a guy selling kilos at 90-some% pure. That's a lot. That's
Right.
a lot more spread. And I did not ever notice that, pay attention to that till I got sentenced. And they told me, did you realize how much of an impact that you were having in terms of how big it could reach? If you're at 98% purity yourself, then everybody else can multiply that.
You got to cut.
Exactly. They can spread it out a little bit. But, and that's what made me kind of really pay attention to the whole situation in totality. Because I'm really not a person who seeks to hurt anyone.
Right.
So if I'm doing something that I obviously have gotten so inhumane to feel about it, to where it does not matter as long as I get my money, then I got to check myself. And that's kind of what happened. That's why I said the 8 years was kind of beneficial,
Okay, now you indirectly answered the question, right? And I've always said I would ask this question to certain people. And the fact that you said what you said about you wouldn't change it. I was watching Tom Brokaw when I was in prison interview Nelson Mandela. That's a totally different situation.
Mm-hmm.
Political prisoner. Salute to Nelson Mandela and all that he's done. But man, Tom Brokaw asked him would he change? Mandela told him no. Mandela did 27 years. He told him no, I wouldn't change it. He said, what about your kids? Mandela says a lot of black kids not being raised by their father. If I change that, I don't become the first black African president of Africa.
Right.
And I was like, that's super deep. Now, he's a different character, but the fact that you even said what you said, even in the midst of being guilty, says a lot. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that beyond spirituality, there's a certain wavelength that people that thrive, or like they say, the cream gonna always rise to the top.
Mm-hmm.
It's that I feel like those people work on a different frequency altogether. Like they just got to go through life. But you know what I'm saying? But the reality of it is that, sometimes weird things happen to me, and it distracts or, offsets the time, and I used to get frustrated, like rushing. Then I realized, I was like, you know what, man, like at one point in my life, while in there, I had a real decision to make, like legit decision to make, and it was not like, it's God or a higher being or spiritual or the universe or whatever it might be that just was like spoke to me. It was like, okay, you done tried everything. What about, you gonna try, give me a shot?
Mm-hmm.
And no, legit. Like within 5 years within my sentence, that was like, now you got Hollywood in the shower in the back cut crying, trying to just figure out what's going on. Because legit don't understand, like, I know that I want to do it my way, but my way keeps giving me recidivism. I'm back and back, I'm back and forth, I'm back and forth, I'm back and forth. Like, it ain't working. So, they say if you keep trying the same thing, that's like ignorance. Like what it says, ignorance? Insanity, yeah. If you keep doing the same thing, getting the same results, that's insanity.
Yeah.
So, okay, and this real talk, man, like I don't even really like talk about it a lot, but, just one random day, man, I was just like walking in the shower, just about to just take a shower, regular day. 5 years in the joint, I'm like, shoot, I done met enough people to get it from, and I know enough people to sell it from. I'm thinking about, hey, but at day one, I got an employment company. Day one, when I got in, I did ask to be in plumbing. Mm-hmm. So we'll backtrack just a little bit. So how I got employment was just before I got arrested. Plumber comes to my house, charged me $600 for 2 hours. I'm like, you know, I'm all about the math. You know what I'm saying? I know if I sell 10 bricks, I'm gonna get about 10 bands real quick, or 20 bands, depending on where they coming from. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, $600 for 2 hours. And I was happy to pay him, though. That was the part that was cool. I was happy to pay him. I had water, bro.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He done put the water from the meter to the house for $600. Now check. I can fix anything at that point. But to bring a water line from the meter to the house was just beyond my comprehension. But for his $600, I was the best paying customer ever. I wanted to give him a tip. You know what I'm saying? But it stuck. It just stuck on my mind. So when I got to prison, man, after all the county jail, after all the, you know, the sentence and all that, bro, I walk in, orientation, they like, you know how it go, like, what you want to do?
Right.
You want so, but I'm a celebrity inmate. Think about it. I'm the professional drag racer that just been on ESPN.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm a celebrity inmate. So I am Hollywood coming to prison, and I'm also Hollywood that was a big drug dealer on the street. So I'm cool both ways.
Right.
I'm rolling in both ways straight. You know, I'm getting a care pack when I come in. You know what I'm saying? Even though I've been in the state prison, so I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I got something on my own book. Yeah. I don't know how much you're gonna want back for that. Right. You know what I'm saying? But at any rate, you feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, for real.
So, but day one, man, I jump off the muscle and tell them, like, look, I want to be in the plumbing shop. I ain't finna be in nobody library. I don't want to be nobody janitor. And they had like the Unicorp. Our Unicorp was making furniture. I said, man, I'm not going home to make no furniture, period. So plan B for me was the plumbing. Plan A was really trying to put that machine back together because I had a very unique way to get down. I got down. I made money. I was quietly making money. You know what I mean? So, but like I said, within that fifth year, man, and it was just like I had put so much work legit in the plumbing, into learning it, in incarcerated. Being incarcerated, I learned.
What was your transition? What caused you to your awakening and your mental
just
transition?
Following it, man. You got, you know, your intuition is like so powerful, man. Like I think that a lot of people don't allow themselves to flow. You know what I'm saying? Like I really and truly, and I don't want to be all crazy about it, but I really and truly believe when they say the universe conspires to help those that's helping themselves. So I really, truly, I believe that, man, like 100%. And I also believe that the serenity, the courage, and the wisdom. So I compartmentalize these issues real quick and deal with them or don't deal with them, right? But the most important aspect of it all is really knowing what you want out of all this. You know, you got to put some work in, man. You know, like, you know, it was humorous to guys when they used to see me walking around the compound with the I call it the stick. Yeah. You know, the closet auger, the snake, the closet snake with the bag on it. Yeah. They laughing at me, but I'm laughing at them. Because I'm saying, well, damn, this $265 on the street. 10 of these, maybe, you know, 5 of these a day, well, 10 of them, $2,650.
Right.
So we talking about $1,325 for 5, and that's a day. Right. I said, well, they better get one of these sticks in their hand.
I worked on that making screw too, though.
Hey, they better,
real talk.
Man. Yeah, push the cart around, man.
Yeah.
So
learn something.
So what I did, man, and I gotta give a lot of thanks to the guy named Alan Talley. He was a correction officer. He was a white guy out of Easterboga, Alabama, correction officer. You know, he was thriving to go get his license as a plumber, right? And what happened, man, was that I noticed they used to always call him back to the institution to fix minor things. Like he done left work.
Right. And
he called him back on an emergency. I'm like, man, look, check this out. You about to try to get your license. I said, if you let me get them books, when you finish with them books, you ain't gonna have to come back up here no more. Just teach me the trade, and you ain't got to come back. That's the only thing I'm asking. Just teach me the trade, and you can spend all your time with your family. Now I can handle it from there. Man, dude was like legit taught me the trade. You know, a correction officer. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, he wasn't the kind that you really like. He wasn't favorable to most people. Like, you know, he just was like in his lane. Right. You know, but then, you know, if you think of it, like I always used to tell people, like I was cool with everybody. Like I ain't had no situation where if you saw me talking to a correction officer for an hour, it didn't mean nothing to nobody because they know that I talk to everybody. And I ain't doing no working or none of that. It's just that they would just talk to me because I was a person that people can communicate with. Right. But the thing about having those relationships. And I used to tell guys that, these are regular people who chose to have a job. They ain't the one who got you in 9 times out of 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
So don't make that relationship so difficult, because you can flow through here and get something out of this, right? So when I go back and I talk to people that's incarcerated, I don't want to talk to no dude who about to come home, because if he ain't did nothing while he been there for 8 years, what you finna do in the next? Like, you done had 8 years.
Months.
Look, you done had 8 years to like, when I got there for 8 years, I elevated.
Right.
I looked around, I just seen this is where I'm finna be for 8 years, period. Ain't nothing I'm gonna be able to do it. The serenity, the courage, the wisdom, right? To accept things I can't change, the courage change that I can, and know the difference. Wisdom, know the difference. Okay, I'm here for 8 years. So what the hell I'm finna do for 8 years? Because I ain't about to play no damn spades, no casino,
Right.
no dominoes. I ain't finna knit shit. I'm not finna carve no woodworking or none of that. I'm not finna do none of that. I'm finna put this mind to work, right? 2,500 books I read. In 8 years, 2,500 books, everything from Ayn Rand to just you name it. You name it, I probably read it. Khalil Gibran, you name it, man, I read it, right? I didn't care if it was Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Hindu. It didn't matter, because the way I looked at it was that information is what's powerful, right? Information is the most powerful thing. Is information and networking, right? In business, is information and networking. It ain't who you know. What you know is most of the time who you know, and then you still got to know something.
Still got to know something.
Right. So when I was there, man, I just looked at the 8 years, 4 years of regular college, 4 years of graduate school. I'm gonna come out with a master's in something.
Perspective.
Yeah, I gotta change my perspective. Ain't no girls here though. You know what I'm saying? It's an all boys college.
Yeah.
Locked in. So I coach football. I coach softball. I learned how to play music, you know what I'm saying? Man, I had the opportunity to work with, which is still my buddy, man, 83-year-old man, Jimmy Gresham, James Gresham out of Fort Walton Beach, Florida. His brother was one of the musicians that actually worked with musicians with James Brown. They wrote it in the book, James Brown book. Mm-hmm. His brother's written in the book. Okay. Yeah, I just did an interview on my website, but you gotta go check it out, man.
I will. Yeah.
But yeah, so like I said, man, when I say that the 8 years were beneficial to me, is because, and what people need to really pay attention to while they're there, man, there is no time out here to do what you can do with the time, with the time you can use in there. When you get out here, it's like, you might think you fast, you might think because your penitentiary slicks, waves was quick in there, but out here, it's a whole nother speed. It's like warp speed out here compared to what we was doing in there, because you ain't doing nothing. You ain't got no bill to pay. You ain't got no car note to pay. You ain't got to worry about this. You ain't got to worry about that. The only thing you got to worry about then is elevating.
Right.
Elevating your mental capacity so that you can be prepared to do something that's realistic. A real opportunity. You can't be in there. Listen, man, I had people in there studying how to be an accountant. And I'm like, okay, that's cool, but you're going to have your own business, right? Because, how many people going to check that? Yeah, don't set yourself up for failure coming out. That's why I kind of like, plumbing was cool. It fit my personality, which a person who like to move around, meet people. And, I didn't really know how to, I realized that it wasn't as nasty of a job that I thought it was.
Right. Mentally.
And I realized that it was kind of a jewel. A lot of people don't really benefit from mechanical trades, but man, listen, while you in there,
So was that your go-to?
What's that?
Plumbing was like when you was incarcerated, what was your go-to? Was it the plumbing? Was it like there's always something that as a space of solace? Was it the reading?
Racing was racing is always my go-to. Racing has been my go-to.
But you couldn't do that incarcerated.
But no, racing is mental though.
Okay, talk to me.
Racing is
talk
mental.
to the people.
Racing to be able to operate this motorcycle this bike's gonna do 10%. It's gonna do the same thing every time. Long as I crack that throttle, let that button go, and don't unbrake. It's a machine. Mm-hmm. It's made to perform at whatever capacity that you want it to do. Mm-hmm. So the 100% of that equation, we always say that the bike makes up 10%. The other part is 90%. Is the human. It's the mental aspect. It's the preparation. It's how you prepare to accelerate from 0 to 60 feet in 1 second. And then 4 seconds at 150, and being able to keep a focus and keep your attention and under that quickness. It's quickness. It's the difference between I don't like top end. I probably won't go on the expressway run no 200 mile an hour. I never would do that because that's top end. That's like, it might be 10 seconds of that. 15 seconds. That's a different speed versus quickness.
Right.
From 0 to 6 seconds in 200 miles per hour. We got guys that do that, but they don't do it in no mile. They do it in a quarter mile, and then you got guys that can run up to 180 or something like that in the eighth of a mile.
But how was it your go-to while you was incarcerated though?
Because
your mental.
Because mentally, it's like running a bike. Like I can make a pass in my head right now. Boom. I can see you crank the motorcycle up. I can hear it. I can smell it. I can do my burnout, my procedures and everything, and go make passes. Boom, boom. Now check this out. This is real talk. The first time I got home, ain't been on a bike in 8 years. I go straight on a motorcycle and go to the final round of a pro modified race. They like legit.
Right.
In Steele, Alabama. Like, look, and probably would have won the race, but the dude who bike it was, they like to tune and mess with the bike too much. But early in the day, they weren't giving me no attention. I'm just playing B-Rider. You know what I'm saying? They got 2 bikes. They just want somebody to jacket the other bike. They knew I could do it. But I don't mess around and did better than they playing A.
Wow.
Now they want to give me all the attention. I'm like, leave me alone. You know what I'm saying? But then I came back there and did a couple of things. But, racing was always really my go-to, because, I think that what racing does for me, it's like it's a team, but there's an individual situation that has to happen, and parallel to life. And the reason why I tell you why racing, and it's more than just the actual motorcycle itself, because, like I said, in order to do this, you have to elevate your finances. So you got to legit carry it.
Yeah. You
see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You built yourself a legit carry. You know what I'm saying? Like most people in life, they work every day. They go in and out the system. It's like a hamster wheel. They know how much they're gonna spend, how much they can't spend, and that's that. Period. But when you do this, it might tell me, it might say, hey, it's time to spend 10,000.
Right.
And you just spent 5.
Right.
But the reality of it is that, I built my business to support what I wanted to do.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So post incarceration,
right?
You making the transition. What was your endeavor?
Well, I mean,
was it right into the plumbing?
It was directly into the plumbing. I had spent 8 years in prison, about 7 legit, because 1 year probably in court, but 7 legit straight years from the day in to the day out working in the plumbing company, in the plumbing shops at the plumbing company. I made it a plumbing company in the institution, but 7 years I worked in plumbing in there. So when I got home, it was just basically working from them to working for someone else.
So what's your plumbing company?
So I own J Square Plumbing, J2 Connect Plumbing. I own both of those companies, and now we are government contractors. We're the countywide contractors for DeKalb, Fulton, and Clayton County in Georgia. We do federal work. We also do VAs, Target, Starbucks. I'm now licensed 6 states from North Carolina all the way to Florida and Alabama as a master unrestricted. Yeah, and also own HollywoodDragRacing.com, Hollywood Drag Race Productions, and I'm just a serial entrepreneur, man. I love business. I love the opportunities that that I guess life offers us. And that's why I was telling you, like, even with Nelson Mandela and all these people and so forth, that those people, they knew that they were elevating. They knew that they was reaching a higher level of consciousness and thought, and that some of the things that we probably put so much time and effort on, that's not what they're thinking about. That's not what I'm thinking about. Like, I only got like 3 color pair of pants: black, gray, and blue. Blue, khaki, and gray.
Yeah.
They nice pants, but I don't take the time. Like, after I read Warren Buffett's book, and he was like, man, like clothes are just like one of the worst depreciating assets. Like, it's not ever an asset. It's just a waste of money type thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I listen to stuff like that, because I wear uniforms for, we don't get 4 uniforms.
No.
4 uniforms, you know what I'm saying? So if I could live out of a refrigerator, double wide refrigerator, basically double door vertical refrigerator,
facts,
I'm good.
Yeah.
Now I got a nice house, 5-acre lot, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you killing it.
Yeah, I'm
you
just chilling
right now. I love that. And like I like to ask guys what's that jewel that you like to deliver to the people, right? And the young people. But I think this jewel that you have, that you are delivering, is that you chose to do something that would be practical upon release.
Exactly.
And that plumbing is
it's practical, man.
It's practical, and a lot of people, and so it's people sitting there right now, and that's gonna hear this, and they're gonna probably say,
But
I'm finna go to that plumbing. You know what I'm saying?
Man,
like,
do something, man. Like,
Yeah.
don't wait. Like when I was there, and like, one of my, we talk about this quite a bit, and one of the things is that I have a good fraternity of friends that were incarcerated with me that are out as well, that we check on each other, just periodically, if one's doing better than the other, we kind of just spread the love, just if it's just not even a good word that sometimes is necessary. But the most important thing I can tell people, man, is that when you going in that door, man, you in now. You in.
Yeah.
So it ain't no sense of wasting. The way I look at it is this right here. Every day that you wasting thinking you bucking, you ain't doing what the folks want you to do. At the end of the day, that's your value that you losing, because that day belonged to you. It didn't belong to them. They just gotta hold you, man. Their job is just to hold you down, but the day belonged to you.
Yeah.
So if you ain't trying to build no value on your day, then shit, you might as well just lay down, period. You might as well just stay there. You know what I'm saying?
He said,
Just
stay there.
just stay out the way. No,
Yeah.
legit, stay out the way.
Yeah.
Because now you're going to come back unprepared. So when you come back unprepared, then you the perfect candidate for recidivism.
Facts.
Because now you got to get some money. Because we know how I feel, man. You done left the street, you got a few $1 million, and then you come back, you got no $1 million, no $1,000.
Right.
And then you still got $1 million habits. You still want to bust a bottle of Cristal. Now you want to go buy it at the liquor store. You want to go to the club and get it.
Right.
So you're going to pay extra $250, $300 for that. But you know what I'm saying? My point is, man, listen. Every day belongs to the person who's living that day. So whether you want to put something in that day and value to appreciate the value of yourself, that's up to you, man. But the key is to try to learn at least one thing new a day. And I'm going to tell you what really, really helped me, man, is that every day I focused on those few things that I really knew that I could do that was realistic. Like, that was a realistic goal. To be a plumber was going to be nothing. You know what I'm saying? As long as you don't have a crime of moral turpitude, the state won't even look at you with the crime and saying that you can't get no damn license. So, but, people going to tell you no. They trying to stop you. But listen, man, let somebody tell you no first. Then when they tell you no, then find out why the no can't be. Then find out some more about the no.
Yeah.